you have to know exactly what problem you're solving for your ideal client.
Starting a relationship by like giving, I mean, that's like, you can't go wrong, especially if you have the right attitude.
And as soon as possible, you start delegating the red and the yellow. Because whenever you spend time on the red, it stops momentum in your business.
Hey, this is episode 334 of the podcast, and today we are talking about strategies for scaling your corporate filmmaking business, including effective delegation and agency building tips from my friend and expert, Billy Sticker. You're going to learn how to identify and target niche audiences to generate more leads and increase your chance of success. And you'll get the inside scoop of some creative techniques for developing video content that addresses your audience pain points and speaks to their specific needs and desires. It's a really good episode. Super excited you're here. Let's get into the intro. What's up, friends? I think that was the intro. What's up? Let's see how many times I can say what's up. Hey, it is Ryan from Studio Sherpas, and it's so fun to do this podcast and pretend like you're sitting just across from me. So we're just hanging out today. If this is your first time here, I apologize. I'm feeling a little extra giddy, if you will. This is a show. This show is called Grow Your Video Business Podcast. It is designed for corporate and commercial filmmakers. That is my background. That's where I've been spending the last 18 years of my life building my own video business company. Production company, studio. We're based like near Detroit, Michigan, and we do a lot of brand films. We work with a lot of different industries, and this is a place where we talk about the business of production, sales and marketing, and we talk about processes and procedures and ways to work smarter, not harder in your business, ways to allow you to be able to charge more, to charge what you're worth. And if you're in a spot in your business where you need some help and you need some guidance, I want to invite you to my completely free workshop. It is we call it the 6-Figure Filmmaking Workshop. It is my gift to you, where I kind of take the last 18 years of my career in this work, kind of bundle it together in a video workshop and share some of my best tips and tricks on how you can sort of learn the fast way from my mistakes and things that have worked well for me, so that you can charge what you're worth and you can build a business that is sustainable and allows you some freedoms in your life, so you can enjoy the people around you, you can enjoy the work and not feel like you have to sell your soul. You can get access to this free workshop by going to studiosherpas.com/workshop. Would love for you to check that out. I think you'll find a lot of help in there. So if you haven't gotten it yet, go grab it. Grab it while you still can. And again, studiosherpas.com/workshop. I'm very excited to introduce to you my friend Billy, and I'll do that in the introduction of Billy. So let's roll the tape and get this thing going. What's up, friends? Hey, welcome to another episode. Today I have with me a friend, Billy Sticker. Billy is a speaker and business advisor who helps business coaches, consultants, agency owners, and authors who want to launch and scale a multiple 6 to 7 figure business. He is the author of several titles, including The Blessed Entrepreneur, 5 Steps to Launch and Scale a Business with Impact. He's also in a shared mastermind with Mr. Mike Kim. Billy and I have gotten to hang out before, and super glad that we're doing this episode together. So Billy, thanks for being here, man.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. And I love your heart, love what you're doing, and looking forward to sharing whatever value I can for your audience.
Awesome. Well, let's just start, let's zoom out. And I've been so impressed to hear the story of your business, Cairo Candy, which is that's your main gig, yes?
Right.
Yeah. So what is that business? What do you do? What does your team do? And then what are you guys doing today?
Yeah. So that is, we do marketing for chiropractors. And in 2007, 2008, I worked in office for a chiropractor. We had multiple locations, and I was the marketer. I was out in the community doing different events and health talks and screenings and all this. And then I started doing what's known as a day one and a day two, which is a lot of times what the doctors do in the office. But I started doing all this, and then the only thing the doctor had to do was adjust patients.
Oh, man.
But I really fell in love with the profession. And actually in 2008, I started a podcast for chiropractors.
Whoa, dude.
But I didn't stick with it.
2008.
Yeah, it was the first
groundbreaking
podcast for chiropractors.
Yeah.
But I only did like 7 or 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And I regret it so much. I actually ended up taking it down. I wish I would have just left it up there. But fast forward 2015, we rebranded, which it used to be, the podcast originally was Chiropractic Marketing University.
Okay.
It's not a good name. I mean,
Well,
maybe for a program, but
Yeah.
not for a podcast.
Yeah.
We rebranded Chiro Candy. And I wanted to bring value to the profession. I think like a marketer, like in the offices I was working in, we doubled the volume in the offices. I just really, it made sense to who I was as a believer that God created our bodies to heal. Because a lot of people think chiropractic is neck pain and back pain, but it's this wellness lifestyle. So I really enjoyed that. And the end of 2014, I decided to relaunch the podcast and came up with Chiro Candy. So the first 4 or 5 months, I was recording episodes and getting the website done, doing everything myself.
Yeah.
The WordPress plugins and all that. Yeah. And it launched in 2015, May 2015. 6 months later, I was able to quit my job, and I didn't even know how we were going to monetize it. I just was giving value, but people started contacting me asking about marketing and asking, it was these project-based gigs that were coming in, but it was still enough to where my wife was like, look, if you can do this part-time, what could you do full-time? And so 6 months later, I was able to quit my job, and I was very nervous because I had a 6-figure job, and now here we are, taking the jump off the cliff and hoping the parachute opens, But fast forward a few months, and my income had been replaced, and then it just continued to grow and grow and grow, and then we were able to pretty much retire my wife. She was a home health nurse, and she works in the business now. But we've not only built a very successful agency, we've built a successful business. A lot of agencies, and I know this is where a lot of your listeners are right now, they are still in fulfillment. They have a business, but really they have a job, right? They're self-employed. And I've been able to figure out different processes and some things that we actually teach people on how to get out of fulfillment. How do you actually build your team, and how do you delegate? How do you put these processes in place? And so now our agency continues to grow, and it doesn't require much of me at all. So,
yeah, that's we've talked about that a little bit. Like, what's your kind of your time commitment? Like, how much monthly are you working in the business?
Kind of as much as I want, or as much as I need to.
Yeah.
But last month we took 2 different trips. We were gone. So for March, we were gone a week for spring break. Then we went to Cancun another week. I probably spent 15 hours the whole month of March working in the business.
And did the business take a huge dip with you being gone?
No, not at all. No, it's still, we have such a great team. It's just it's a great gig.
And what brings you life? What those 15 hours? I mean, you're working those, you're choosing to, or you have to, or whatever. But what value is that bringing the business?
Really, the main thing that I focus on now. Every once in a while, there might be a fire that I have to put out.
Yeah.
Fortunately, our team does most of that, so that doesn't happen that often. But sometimes that may require me to come off the bench. But a lot of times it's just working on these relationships, referral relationships. So as far as the fulfillment goes, our team does that. Even the marketing stuff, I need to make some videos for the company. So, I'll have to actually be I'm the front person, if you will. So I'll have to make some videos, write up some content, get that to my team, and then they do everything else with it.
Yeah.
But a lot of my time is more spent either traveling and speaking. Like I had a couple of different events as well. As a matter of fact, I had one this past weekend up in Dallas that I spoke at for about 600 chiropractors. So going and doing that stuff, which technically that was more than 15 hours, but it wasn't.
That's not work. Come on.
That was a little bit different. Yeah. So I really focus on building relationships with people who are already working with our customers or our ideal chiropractors.
Yeah.
So a lot of these are coaching groups and just people that can continually be a referral source.
Yeah.
They can send us, 5 to 10 referrals a month. So how can I go out and find more people like that I can build relationships with? So that's what the majority of my time is spent on now.
Yeah. Well, so your business is built to fulfill marketing needs for chiropractors.
Right.
As a, video production service-based business, there are a lot of different things that we can do to market ourselves. And without you knowing a ton of our audience, but you kind of know me and you kind of know how we're built and what we're trying to do. If I'm struggling with getting more leads and getting new clients, what would you just tell me? Like, Ryan, if you're not doing this, like you're missing a huge opportunity to build leads, to get new clients, new opportunities.
This is going to sound somewhat basic, but sometimes we overlook the basic. You have to know exactly what problem you're solving for your ideal client.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what is it that's keeping that person? It may not necessarily be keeping them up at night, but like, what is something that they need to be doing that they're not doing, or maybe they're doing, but they don't want to be doing, like something that you can step in and solve. Now they need to be creating content. I mean, TikTok has changed the landscape for all social media. Now Facebook and Instagram, they're focused so much on reels, even YouTube, with their shorts. Our attention span has gotten smaller. So that is a need now. Businesses need to be doing these type videos. So this is just something that comes to mind that I know we focus on a lot, and we have our clients do a lot, is, making these type videos. But whatever it is, you have to really get in the mind of your ideal prospect. What is it that they're thinking? And if you can enter the conversation they're already having in their mind, that's going to attract them to what it is that you're doing. Because some people out there are totally unaware that they have a problem that you can solve. Some people are aware they have the problem, but they're unaware of you. And then some people are aware of you. They're aware of their problem. They're aware that you can solve their problem. And that's really who you're trying to find. Mm-hmm. So some of those people you have to create, right? You've got to market to the people to educate them that they do have this problem and you can solve this problem. And then it's, how do you do something that's going to get them to raise their hand that they might be interested, but you want it to be a low barrier of entry. So for an example, one of our clients one time was a coach for chiropractors. He was very old school. He was an older gentleman, had been coaching chiropractors for 30 years. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, I was like, well, we need some type of giveaway. We need a lead magnet, right? Something we can dangle in front of these chiropractors to get them to raise their hand and then introduce them to you and what it is you do. And he said, well, I have an in-office procedure manual. And he said, not only do I have this manual that they can customize and, just change out the names and stuff like that, but I also have 8 videos that go along with it that explain everything and, we'll train their staff. I was like, this is fantastic. So we ran this. Who is downloading this? Only chiropractors, right? Who else wants an in-office procedure manual? Well, we were generating leads for less than $2 a piece. And those are very, very qualified people because we know they're chiropractors. Then they start watching the training videos so they get to know who he is. Then he gets to follow up with them and then, schedule coaching calls or whatever. My oldest son actually he's the COO of Chiro Candy, but he and his wife also started a side business called Church Candy without my permission on the name. But he's like, hey, Dad, I just bought the domain Church Candy.
That's epic.
I was like, oh,
just
yeah. But I'm very, very proud of them. They have a ministry background also.
Yeah.
But they do what we do for chiropractors, they do for churches. Mm-hmm. And the lead generation they do is called Plan Your Visits. So right now they have almost 90 churches that they're working with where they're running all their campaigns for them. Mm-hmm. But And so they'll do these, it's called plan your visits. So people will see the ads for the church. And you know what? We need to get back in church, or, we've got kids now. Maybe we should go to church or whatever. So they'll actually go to the church's website or a landing page. They'll select what time they want to go to church, and they'll fill out their information. Do they have to do that? No, you can just show up. But it's amazing how many people actually plan visits. Yeah. And then the pastor sends them a little video, hey, Ryan, this is Pastor Billy. Saw that you are coming to the 9:15 service on Sunday. I look forward to meeting you, blah, 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 whatever. And so they're crushing it. Mm-hmm. Well, he, knowing that Easter's coming up, right, which is the Super Bowl for Christians, he did a lead magnet that was, I forget exactly how he titled it, what the hook was, but it's basically copy and paste ads that you can run for Easter to promote your service. And he had videos to show, how to set up the campaigns. This is exactly, literally step by step, everything they were doing. Yeah. And he had a lady that go through and actually lay it all out in a real pretty PDF and all this. In 1 week, he had 1,000 churches download this. He grew his audience by 1,000 churches in 1 week. Yeah. And he had to shut it off. He's like, I can't do this anymore. Like, there was too many, because on the landing page, it was like, hey, this is actually what we do. If you just want us to handle all this for you, here's a link, schedule a call with one of our team, and, we'll let you know what that looks like. And he booked out his calendar, his other salesperson's calendar. It just worked so well. But he found something to dangle in front of his ideal client. It was a very, very easy thing to say yes to, right? If I'm on staff at a church and they're showing me step by step how to run ads to help get people to my church, yeah, why wouldn't I download that? But now that shows that I'm interested, it's like, you know what? I don't have the time to do this. My team doesn't have the time to do this. Yeah. Their fees are very, very affordable. Why don't we just pay them to do it? Mm-hmm. And so that's just a good example, another example of what you can do to kind of generate leads for your audience. So you could do some type of template of, hey, here's a great framework for all your videos. Mm-hmm. One of the things we teach our chiropractors to do is the PAST formula. What's the problem? Agitate the problem. The core of your video is going to be the solution. And then T is take action. And so we tell them, hey, here's a very, very basic framework you can use in your emails, you can use in whatever, but ideally for your videos. So they really like that. So you may have some kind of framework that you can have a PDF that they can download for videos, or you could do a check sheet. Hey, here's the basic equipment you need if you're going to, do these, videos on your own. And then the idea is to show them how much and then get them just to pay you to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. So those are some just different ideas to generate some leads.
I love it. Super good. We've talked, lead magnets in the past, and I'm glad we're talking about it again. I would say that part of the magic in what you're sharing is the power of a niche, right? Because if these lead magnets were just, generic, but you've got, first story of this older gentleman, he's got a very specific audience, right? Who he's trying to coach. And your son, regardless of him stealing the name, and, it's so good. I laugh so hard because I can just see my son doing like the same thing and being like, "What, Dad? What?" And I'm like, "Evan, come on." But your son with this killer idea that is very, very focused, right, to churches that want new people, right? So I think that's kind of where we get hung up in the world of video. When we start, it's kind of like, okay, I can do video. I can do video for anyone. I need to do video for anyone because I need more cash. So when it comes to, creating a lead magnet, typically it's like a real generic, like, okay, like, top 3 videos you should do. It's like, who should do them? Is this for like entrepreneurs? Is this for chiropractors? Any business, anybody that, everybody needs to be doing video. It's like, that's not, okay, it's like kind of helpful, but if you want 1,000 people, in a matter of a few days or a few weeks that are going to like say like, yes, this is exactly who I am, and this is exactly the problem I'm having, like, I'm going to sign up for that. So that's one of the challenges. Any recommendation, because I love, and I would say that you are as successful as you are today because you really dialed in a niche. You don't have this marketing service that's for anybody. It's for chiropractors.
Right.
Even though you could do
funny.
marketing for anybody. Your framework works for anybody. But you've said this is who we're going to hang out with.
Right. And so one of the things that I coach people who want to start an agency is, look, if you have a background in a niche, then let's look into that. You know, could that be something that you actually go for?
Yeah.
Or you could go back and say, I need to replace my income. So how can I just get some business? And it may be a little bit general at first, and then figure out who of these different people do you enjoy working with the best? Who are you getting the best results for? I've got an agency right now that I'm working with, and they're pretty successful. I mean, they're doing, over $50,000 a month in recurring revenue, but they're a very generalist agency and that they just really work with their local market. Yep. And so what we've been doing is going through and say, okay, out of all these people that you're working with, who do you really, really enjoy working with? Who are you getting really good results for? And then let's take that niche and scale it across the country or across the state. Like, then let's start going out, because you already have testimonials. And a lot of times, even if you are starting off somewhat general, you need a win. You need some proof, some samples, some case studies. And even if it's not the exact niche, that can be okay. You just show, look, this is what we're doing. I think that can be okay too. But whenever you do find a niche that you can really just go all in on, it can be so beneficial. Yeah. So people always come up to me, like when I tell them, what we do, and I want to be careful saying this because I want to say this with humility, but they're working a 9-to-5 and then they're wanting to give me business advice. Well, I got an idea. Why don't you do the same thing for dentists? It's like, well, we don't want to. There's 70,000 chiropractors in the US and we're working with 400. Like, we've got plenty of room to stay just where we're at, Right. But also, I don't want to retrain my team. Yeah. Hey guys, we just got a new client. Oh, but he's actually in lawn care. Yeah. So we got to change up all of everything that we do. If we're sticking under that chiropractic umbrella, they know what to do. They know how these chiropractors think. So it's so much easier to train your team. And then if I reach out to a chiropractor, I'm like, hey, by the way, this is what we do. I mean, we do it for every company, but I'm sure we can help you too. Or like, hey, all we do is work with chiropractors. Yeah. Like, we don't work with lawn care companies. We don't work with bankers or like anything else. They're going to be more attracted to us because we know their needs more than a generalist, agency would. So there's a lot of benefit there. And then also, when it comes to marketing, you want to fish in the pond where your fish are. If you pick a niche, let's say that you wanted to get into video editing for churches. Let's just say that, because one of the good things about churches is a lot of more modern churches, they video every single service they do. Yeah. They may not do a good job editing it. Maybe you could go in and show them how to better video, actually their camera placement is poor, their lighting is poor, whatever. You could go in and churches could be your niche. You could show them how to set everything up. You can go through and take their sermons that they do and turn them into reels, right? Turn them into TikToks for them. And that could be a service. You charge $400 or $500 a month. Very, pretty simple. They just send you the weekly videos. Your team goes through, does all the editing, and then you give them, 5 videos a week, 7 videos a week that they get to put out as reels. Dude, they would love that. That's a great service. But if you tell them this is all we do, we just work with churches. Now it's so much easier for you to go out and find those groups. Here's a good example. So my son, he's really modeled so much of what we do for chiropractors. He was like, okay, who is already working? Who can I get as a referral source that can refer me churches? So he found somebody who's a pretty big influencer in the church space, especially church plants. He works with a lot of these newer churches that are planting. And he reached out to this guy, said, hey, I just wrote a book. I just wanted to send you a copy of the book. But also, this is what we do. I would love to offer you my services for free. And the guy was like, what? He goes, yeah, I would love to, let us market your church. I won't charge you anything. I just want to just give back. I love what you're doing. Wow. And so he did. Well, this guy ends up making a couple of introductions for him. And now they have this organization that paid for 20 churches 6 months of their services. 20 churches times 6 months of their service fee. This organization paid Brady. And it was all because he found somebody who had an audience of churches already. Yep. He gave, hoping to get something back, but not necessarily expecting it, right? Like, look, we're just going to sow this seed and see what happens.
Yep.
And it worked really, really well. So once you pick a niche, there are associations that you can join that are only people in that niche. There are coaching groups. There are different things that you could do, and then find the industry leaders or people ahead of that, offer them some services for free or at a discount. And it doesn't even have to be forever. Like you can do a couple of months for free or do a couple of projects for them to build that relationship, let them know what you do, see what you do, and then they can start referring people to you. So there's a lot of benefit to actually picking a niche when it comes to, whatever services you're offering.
Oh man, I love that. It's so good. It's the like starting a relationship by like giving. I mean, that's like you can't go wrong, especially if you have the right attitude. And the hope is like, yeah, I hope this turns into something. If this is somebody I like working with and I like their network, I hope this turns into something. If it doesn't, I'm still going to feel good about like helping them. And I know that there's no way that they can't not speak well of us when someone asks. So even if we don't get work from them, whatever, we'll have done a good thing and it will come back to us in some way, shape, or form. Somehow this will be a good thing. So I just love starting a relationship like that. Like, how can we help? Like, is there something that we can do to help you? And for video guys and gals, I think in the past it's been, man, to give somebody a video, at least the kind of video that we want to create. It's like, that's like a $10,000, $20,000 thing. I can't give that away. But if there are things, maybe there's a piece of that. Or when we started doing workshops 7 years ago, it's like, man, that's an hour to 2 hours of time. Or do a lunch and learn. Buy a small team a lunch for $50, $100, and come and share how they can be shooting better video with their iPhone. Something like that, where you're showing your expertise, you're giving them something. I mean, that's a great way to get your foot in the door and not having to feel like you got to give a $10,000 video away to build relationship and to create some rapport.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it doesn't have to be, like I said, free forever.
Yeah.
Even whenever we're teaching people like to start an agency, it's like, look, find people you already know that own businesses, let them know what you're doing and offer to do stuff. Let them know. So be honest. Say, look, I've been learning this. Mm-hmm. I feel that, you would be an ideal client. I would love to be able to offer you our services for free for the next 2 weeks. If it works well, all I ask is that you write us a testimonial or shoot a quick testimonial video. And for them, it's like, what do they have to lose? Right. And even that, like if you're an agency and there's ad spend, we have them pay the ad spend. Mm-hmm. So look, you'd be responsible for ad spend. We'd recommend, over the next 2 weeks, $500 or $1,000 or whatever it may be, depending on the business. But you've got to get your foot in the door. You've got to get some proof. And especially when you're starting something new, a case study does a couple of things. One, it shows others that you know what you're doing, but it helps build your confidence. And hey, that actually worked. That turned out really great. Mm-hmm. Which I'm sure a lot of your audience, you already know you're good, right? You know what you do. Right. That's why you're one to offer that to other people. Yeah.
So the power of a niche, a lead magnet, I think those are really good takeaways. I would say that, at the peak, I don't want to say the peak of my career, but at the peak of our niched career, when we said, hey, I started out, we're doing these wedding films. And then like very quickly I was like, oh, let's do like really fancy wedding films, because those people probably have a lot of money and I want people to be able to pay more for the kind of, wedding films that we want to create. And then they do beautiful destinations. And I want to go to like, Cancun and film a wedding. That would be amazing. So we started marketing to high-end luxury couples that wanted these wedding films. it was so easy to create marketing material. It was so easy to know who I needed to connect with, what venues I needed to go to, what coordinators I needed to know, what high-end photographer, they all use the word luxury. They all, have these same. So as soon as I flipped the switch and said, this is exactly who I want to work with, it became really easy for people to come to our website, or these people that I was networking with. It was really easy for them to identify who would be a good fit, or for people to come to our website and self-select and be like, man, these guys are really fancy. We don't have the budget for fancy. That's great. Cool. We didn't have to talk to those people. But for the people that do, like, man, we do want a luxurious wedding. We want this to feel special. We want this to be high-end, all that. Those are the people that we talked to. Those are the people that booked us and hired us. So life was so easy when we had a very, very dialed-in niche. And then 10 years ago, 11 years ago, we launched our corporate brand. Or like, we do brand films. Like, that's our niche is, all businesses need a brand film. But then that's where the challenges really began for us. Because for me, I was like, okay, like, where do I go? Who do I talk to? Well, I talk to everybody. Okay, let me just like have lunch and meet with anybody I can. And, hopefully it comes up in conversation, and most people don't care about, video, or they know they need it, but they can't afford it. It's just like, it's been a struggle. And I'm excited to share with this tribe about my own, like, over the last 6 weeks, especially at our retreat that you weren't at. I'm so sad that I didn't get to hug you.
Yeah.
But it's just so many light bulbs going off as far as like niching and in this industry, in this work specifically. So that's for later. I'm glad that we've talked about this. I do want to know, building stuff on your website, online, having, YouTube videos and things that live forever, that are evergreen, lead magnets, where you've got incoming emails and you're growing your email list, which I just think that becomes a gold mine. Those are all really good. What about what is like offline? I mean, I heard you say, the work that you're doing, at least some of it, probably the majority of it, you're like trying to connect with connectors in networking, right, and like just being with people. So my guess is, you're at the place in your business where your greatest value, and what's going to bring the biggest return for your investment in time, and it's relationship. So can you just speak into that at all?
Yeah, I want to back up because I think this will be something that'll help a lot of the listeners. Years ago, we were just to be a little transparent. We were probably $30,000 a month in revenue. Mm-hmm. And I went to this conference, and I was one of the only people there that was not a chiropractor. But one of the things they were talking about, that's this breakout session, and it was about how to become a CEO. Because most chiropractors, they own a job, right?
Right.
But not all. There's some chiropractors that we work with, they own 7 or 8 offices. They don't even adjust anybody anymore. Yeah. Like, their team does it all. Like, they've built a business. And this guy had us go through this process, and I've since tweaked it some, and I'll call it the traffic light formula. So basically, you write down the things that you do in your business that you do not like doing. I mean, you hate doing it. And just write down those activities. And that would be like next to the red light. Then next to the yellow light, you write down the things in your business that you do. You don't necessarily hate it, but you don't love it. It needs to be done. You're good at it. This could be editing the videos, right? So you write those things down. And then next to the green, you write down the things that you love to do. Like, maybe it's just the strategy. You're coming up with the content ideas and the angles and the hooks. Maybe that's it. But whatever it is, you write down those things. And as soon as possible, you start delegating the red and the yellow.
Yeah.
Because whenever you spend time on the red, it stops momentum in your business. When you spend time on the yellow activities, it slows down momentum in your business. But when you focus on your green, it fuels momentum. And that's literally how you can work less and make more.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if I delegate this, they're not as good as me. But that doesn't matter. Like, their 80% is better than your 100%. And they're never going to get to 100 unless you let them get to 80. And once you can learn to not micromanage and kind of delegate and let them learn and let them do, it totally frees up your time and allows you to be more creative and literally allows you to work less and make more. And so that's kind of what I did. I started looking, once I figured out the things that I didn't want to do anymore, it's like, okay, who on my team can I get to step in and do these things? Who would be good at it? Mm-hmm. And actually who would find fulfillment in these things? And then it's a matter of just duplicating those ideal people over and over and over again and building a big team of people that can step in and do all that stuff that allows you to focus just on the things that you love to do. So that was kind of a long answer to your question, but I think just that process right there can be a game changer, because now our revenue is 10 times what it was back then, and I work less. It's crazy, but I've been able to build a business that I enjoy because I'm not doing things that I don't want to do in the business. And if I ever do, it's like, oh, you know what? I don't like doing this. Mm-hmm. Then I know I'm going to get somebody on my team to, start doing this.
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge I think that a lot of us have is because the work that we do is creative. It's like, right. We believe, and in some, it's some level, it's true that we're the best shooter, we're the best editor, we're the best director. So to train somebody, man, can I be good enough? Is 60%, is that good enough for us to deliver? 60% as good as what I would do? I don't feel comfortable doing that. My clients expect this. And so we have all these beliefs and all these feelings toward it's got to be at this level. What would you share with somebody like me who's like, man, I can't give up this creative control because that's my value. That's why people are paying us the money that they want to pay us.
But you can teach that. You can. I mean, I used to think that people wouldn't sign up with our services unless they talk to me. Because I'm the one who's speaking. I had the podcast. I was the one traveling to all the events. And I kind of thought they had to talk to me. But that was straight up pride. Yeah. We went on a mission trip one week, and all I was doing was sales. So that was the main thing I was doing. And I may do, 5 calls a day sometimes. And I didn't want to not do any sales calls that week, but we were going to be gone for the whole week. Yeah. So I had somebody on my team step in and say, look, here's what you need to do. I recorded a sales call, let him listen to it. Well, that week he signed up 5 accounts without me. And it was like, oh, I guess they don't need to talk to me. And then I was like, wait, I don't have to do sales calls anymore. But some of these things you can teach. You can teach people to think like you think. So one of the things we would do on our creatives, for the ad copies and stuff, our team would have to meet with Brady, which is actually our son that runs Church Candy. They used to have to meet with him once a week. And he would go over any accounts that weren't working well, and he would help them think creatively. Okay, what should we change here? What should we do here? And then what happened is he was teaching them how he thought. And so then those calls started changing. He would get on the phone with our reps, and they would say, okay, this is what was going on. And I figured you would want me to change this, this, and this. So I went ahead and changed that. And he's like, perfect. That's exactly what I would have said. So he was able to teach them how he thought. And now he doesn't even do those calls anymore. He was able to duplicate himself. And now we have 2 other guys on our team that have that role, that work with our team on, thinking outside of the box and being creative. And that is our goal, is to teach everybody how to be more creative and how to think outside of the box. Yeah. And, what we always say is we're married to a mission, not a method.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to deliver a certain outcome for your clients, there's more than one way to do that. I think you got to set your pride aside and know that some of these things you can teach. If I was to tell you, hey, we wanted, this movie needs to be shot more of a Steven Spielberg type style. Well, you kind of know what I mean by that. Because you kind of know his style, how he thinks. You could teach how you think. You can teach the different styles that you like, and come up with a process. That's my thought.
I love that. So just real practically, I know how I have some ideas on how I would do this. How would you recommend me teaching the creative approach to a project to future team members?
You have some kind of filter that you're thinking about whenever you're going through editing the videos. So let's say that you don't want any one scene to be longer than 3 seconds without zooming in or zooming out, or your crossfades. I mean, I don't even know some of these technical terms.
Doing pretty good.
But those are some things that you think you're like, okay, well, this is actually a little bit too long. We need to make some changes here. The lighting needs to be this. Isn't there something called LUTs that you
Look at
do
you.
for, yeah. But think through your process when you're editing. Think about all the small stuff. What is it you're actually thinking as you're making these changes? And you're going to find some consistencies there. When I'm writing ad copy, really what we think is, okay, what's the problem that we're trying to address in this ad? Headaches. Headaches are no fun. And then, okay, how can we agitate that problem a little bit? And then what's the solution? Well, a lot of people don't know that headaches could be caused by cervical issues. This is one of the things we see in our office all the time. So we go back to that past formula: problem, agitate, solution, and then take action. So we see this all the time in our office, and here's some things that we do. Here's some things you can do at your home to possibly help with your headaches. But if this is something you'd like us to help with, click the button below, schedule an appointment, blah, blah, blah. So we have a framework that we're using for all of our creative. So I would just do your best to really get inside of your head. What is it you're thinking as you're making all these changes? Why do you want to use that lighting angle? Why is it you're wanting to do these things? And just document them.
Yeah.
Because if you can get behind the why, right, you can teach that. And Todd Herman wrote a great book called The Alter Ego.
Yep.
And he works with a lot of professional athletes, very, very professional executives. And one of the things that he's noticed over the years is these high-performing athletes, they don't act like themselves when they get on the court. Now, okay, so for example, let's say you're a high school tennis player and you're in high school, right? So your mind's you may not be the most confident anyway, but you can get on the court. Like my daughter, for example, she played in high school. Well, when you're on the court, don't play like Taylor Sticker. Play like you're Serena Williams. Yeah. How would she step into that persona and you play like you imagine that you're her playing? And it literally raises your level of your ability. But the thing is it's still you. It's just you change your mindset and you're able to accomplish a little bit more. You accomplish a little bit differently. You don't have the self-doubt because you're acting like you're this other person, this superhero, if you will. And it's a great book. It's called The Alter Ego Effect, I think is what it's called. But I highly recommend it. But he talks about that. And so being creative, if you're the main creative genius in the business, you can start to train people to step into your alter ego, right? If I was Ryan, how would Ryan create this video? Yeah. How would he edit the video?
Yeah, I think it's a struggle. We all want, editing is one of the things that's the most time consuming. That's definitely an area that we need help in. We need help with administrative stuff. We hate all the details, all the scheduling and rescheduling and unscheduling, all those things. I've found so much help in, just shooting a video, turning on Loom, hitting record, recording my screen. If I'm looking at an edit, going through an edit and talking about different things I would do different, why I'm doing this, hopping in my inbox for my virtual assistant so she knows how do I process emails, and just thinking out loud and just saying stuff like, okay, I start usually with this is going to be the most boring video I've ever made. I'm so sorry. And I spend 10 minutes processing email, and it's just okay, I don't know who this person is, so I just archive it. This one, I definitely unsubscribe. And all my assistants have always been like, man, that is so helpful. And I'm like, are you serious? It's the worst video. They're like, no. We can understand and we can start to learn. And that's the same thing when it comes to shooting, editing, directing, creative, anything. If you can figure out how to start articulating that and just speaking it out loud, maybe you don't think people will understand, but people are a lot smarter than we probably give them credit for. It's just hard because we think creative, like there's the magic sauce, and it is magic, but it can be just exactly as you're saying, it can be taught to a certain degree. And some people are going to get it a lot faster and a lot better than others. And, others is going to take longer, and that's fine too.
And don't be surprised if you find somebody on your team might be a little better than you.
Yeah. Like that's what happened here.
I will say this. We have people in Chiro Candy that are better at me than Steph.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I want a full team of people better than me.
Yeah, exactly.
I am okay with that.
Yep.
I have no problem with that at all.
100%. Billy, this has been so fun. I wish we had more time. You've got book, you've got podcasts. Where should people connect with you? Where can they listen to you? All that stuff.
Yes. So The Blessed Entrepreneur, you can pick up. The Kindle version is still like 99 cents.
I got one of those.
But you can pick this up on Amazon. And I'm probably most active on Facebook. We have a group called Blessed Entrepreneur, and we do trainings in there all the time. It is very faith forward. So we do kind of dive into scripture, what does scripture say about finances and about business. And one of the things you and I have talked about before, and this is really what the book's about, is I believe the church as a whole has done a great job teaching us how to give, but not how to earn. And I kind of want to switch that. I want to get into the church and teach them how you can actually go out and earn and serve others. Because I believe we're called to love God and love people, and your business can be your ministry. You can love on people by providing them a service or a product, whatever it may be, that helps them in their life. So the Blessed Entrepreneur Facebook group is probably where I'm most active. So that's what I'd recommend.
Love it. Dude, thank you so much. Really just appreciate you. Love what you're doing, and I'm grateful that we got to get this time together today. All right, my friend, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want access to the show notes, the links, all of those things, you can get that by going to studiosherpas.com/334, because this is episode 334. If you're watching this, if you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere else, and there's a place to leave comments, leave a comment. Let me know what your big takeaway was. If there's something that stood out and you're like, man, this was good, let us know. I would love to read those. And if you want to reach out to me directly, my email address is ryan@studiosherpas.com. If you really enjoyed this episode, you want to share it with a friend, feel free to just grab a screenshot and text that over to your friend. That would be amazing. And connect with me online. I'm at Grow Your Video Business. I'm also at Ryan Coral. That's my personal-ish account. And I am so excited that you're here, and just grateful to have you listen to the show and to be this far into the episode. It means a lot. I do this show to try and be helpful. And the fact that you're here, I just want to say thanks. And I am for the success of your business. And that's what makes it all worthwhile. Seriously, I'm not joking. I don't know what kind of community you have, but soon enough in October, we're going to have our in-person event called the Onward Summit. And we'll be having about 40 people from around the country. It's actually an international event, because we have people from Canada who have come as well. But we gather for a few days at our studio in Lake Orion, Michigan, and talk more about business stuff. And it's an opportunity to be able to connect with other filmmakers. It's a chance to build your network. If you're interested at all in this event, we're not going to start promoting it for a while, but I just felt like now is a good time to plant the seed. You can learn more about the Onward Summit if you go to studiosherpas.com/onward. You can even be notified when we open the doors. There will only be 40 tickets sold for that event. So you want to get in and get early. Get in early. All right, my friend. Take care. Feel free to reach out, introduce yourself to me if you're new here, and I'm grateful for you. That's all. We'll see you next week.